Okay, so I'm going to hit the live button now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready, set, go.
I believe we are live. Let me.
Always good to be live.
Yeah, I know. I'm feeling pretty alive. Yeah.
Well, since I don't remember what it was like to be dead, I'm feeling pretty alive too.
Yeah. Which is
So,
nice.
for those who are joining us that are not aware, I'm Sheila Corona. This is Conscious Conversation Central, and I'm live this evening with my gal pal posse, Lisa Flameno Rush and BZ Rieger. I'm so glad you ladies could join me and that we actually get to go live tonight. I'm pulling up our chat room over here, so we'll have that handy.
Yay.
And so we decided that what we were going to talk about, and I actually put the title in, only it says "ta" instead of "the." I guess I was typing too quickly. The ubiquitous they will tell you, do it, then recap what they've done. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of that going on.
We sure do.
And honestly, it feels very closely related to the Hegelian dialectic, doesn't it? Problem, reaction, solution sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one of the things that trips you up too is that that they, the ubiquitous they are telling you, and then they're doing it, and then they're recapping what they've done, but they use surrogate voices and surrogate sides, right, to help them with that. And so if you're not feeling into it, if you're not reading the energies, reading the waters of, the chaotic, choppy seas that are going on right now, and you see it coming from, this quarter, and you think, wait a minute, that's, so it throws you off. And so that's why this conversation, yes, is about the ubiquitous they, but mostly it's about, to some beings, what happens is the ubiquitous them right here, of not going in your true north, right? Not standing in the fullness of who you are, to then you can see, oh yeah, it is theater, and I can see everything that's going on.
Well, I don't know why, but this just came in for me. It didn't before we were, started, when we were chatting before. But it actually sort of also goes to conversation that I've been wanting to have regarding intention. Because when you were speaking just then, what I saw, I've seen there's of folks that would consider themselves light workers, spiritual, folks who, they just want love and light and they want good. And they've involved themselves in some of what's going on right now, thinking that it's one thing when it's really not, right? And I'm speaking on, to be honest with you, Black Lives Matter. Okay, because, well, first of all lives matter as far as I'm concerned. And so this doesn't have anything to do with anything other than what my feeling is about how that was created, why it was created, and what it's doing, which is not what it purports to be.
No, it's a marketing slogan.
Right. Rather good one, unfortunately. But
yeah, it's like defund the police. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's intentionally obtuse and evasive so that it could be many different things depending on where you're, from what quarter you're from. All of them are inverted because it's all designed by those who invert things, and so they can reel you in. And
right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because here I guess again, not to be picking on that specific thing, but because it's so right now, right? Because when anyone speaks about that, it's like, well, yes, they do. Everything matters, you know. I mean, all of that is because I don't know. It's like it's a hesitancy even on my part to I know I feel what it's all about, but when one speaks up about that, there's this thing that I can feel surrounding all of that. And I really kind of feel like it goes in here to this. It's like,
Yeah, it's one of those voices I was talking about where there is confusion because it's all coming from the same intention, the same energy frequency, the same, like I said, inverted plan for their ultimate plan of how they want things to happen, the ubiquitous
Right.
they, right? Which has many different chapters and lines and all that kind of stuff. And they draw the voice that they plan and program and facilitate and whoop up, you
Mhm.
know, in different quarters to then speak that. So you think that it's a mass movement here, or maybe it's some kind of proposal being passed there, or it's a news push here, and it's all coming from the same quarter, and they're telling you what they're going to do, they're doing it, and then they're telling you what they did, right? So it's just like if you went and learned things to do, workshops or speeches or any of those kind of things. And yes, it's helpful for navigating people through something that you want to learn with them and have experiential things. It's also a way to program them. And so make no mistake, I mean, that's kind of how this started to come in. But one of the things now is that it's all theater. The world is a great stage and we're on it right now. And everybody's playing, a kick-ass role, and it's very essentially playing that role. And it is actually literally all theater. What you're seeing going on here now is a show. And a lot of people here, they say nod and they say yeah, and they get it to some extent, but no, for real. It's a show. So part of this is that in them telling you what they're gonna do and then doing it and then telling you what they did, right? Because they use different quarters, different voices, different segments and sections, right? Focus.
Mhm.
For some of those different parts, it's easy if you're not standing in your power, in your knowing the truth of who you are, that to your true north, to get swayed by something because you're waiting or you're invested in, attached to, whether it's a good thing or, well, the bad guys just said this and or the good guys said that, oh my god, what, they're wrong, instead of being able to read the waters and filter it through. So that's kind of all of that is the big little piece of the big subject that we're talking about. And
Right.
how do you navigate that? Because there's so much, I mean, there are ways to navigate it, and it makes it a lot easier and a lot more calming, and you actually feel more empowered, and you actually go, oh, I got it. Yeah, I see it. Now I see what's going on, right? And you actually wait for that other shoe to drop here, regardless of the quarter or the voice, right? That's this stepping forward for the lead role in that section of the play, because now you can then see the puzzle pieces fitting, and you can know that. And this is maybe one of the other parts that's a little bit hard, is that collectively, so the good and the bad, right, are holding and marching down the end scene in the play to have all of the false construct unwound and unbound. So it's finished, complete. Everybody takes their bow, and then at the same time, simultaneously, the new is not only, budding and starting to come to fruition in full bloom, but we're doing it at the same time.
Well, I know that we have a couple folks watching. Welcome, everyone. Feel free to let us know, that you're here, who you are, where you're watching from, if you have any questions or anything you'd like to add, because I am looking at the comments. But I don't know if it's someone now that's in the room or it's someone that will be joining us at some later date. But I'm feeling like, okay, first of all, who are the ubiquitous they? Well, okay, so I chose that title because there are, algorithms out there that will do things with your videos and anything that you put out. So ubiquitous they are the elite, the deep state, the Illuminati. Pick a name, any name. That's who we're speaking on here.
And the different factions within
each of those, and quite frankly, the what I feel in a lot of cases are the unaware minions who just think they're doing the jobs.
Or as the Soviet term goes, the useless idiots. And there are actually millions and millions of useless idiots. That's the term that the ubiquitous they gives them, that have been deployed, and they're one of the things that from that quarter they're doing it. So it's being orchestrated, paid for, designed by the ubiquitous they, being carried out by the useless idiots who are throwaways, thinking that that's right. Well, and thinking that this is this is it. Now we can really make a difference. Now we can make change. Now we can, and not realizing at all that they're being paid for, literally, and supported by and bailed out by and all these kinds of things from the ubiquitous they. And you can see as the plan and this next thrust in the last moves of destabilization and pulling away and trying, the wounded beast, dying beast is trying to lash out and take as many, they being the ubiquitous they of all of us with them, right?
Right.
They have set it up so that the useless idiots can go and do all of these different things and be pawns that are tossaways, and you're seeing it now where there's lots of people are pulling stuff out of the different comms and chat rooms of Antifa and stuff like that, because they're floored, they're absolutely flabbergasted, gobsmacked, that hang on, this used to be fun, we used to just rip shit up and bust heads and all that kind of stuff, and they bail us out right away, and we're not getting bailed out. In fact, we actually now have court dates and prison sentences and all these things coming down the pike. And one of them I retweeted was, we don't want to do this, we didn't sign up for this. Well, they had no idea that you're 100% responsible. So that's why that whole term is used, and that they're throwaway, because they get them to do certain things, they whoop them up, they go and they do it, and people are responsible for themselves. And then if it's not working, because too many people are starting to read the waters and are starting to see what's going on, so it isn't packing the same punch and it isn't doing the same escalation, and that damn orange man bad just will not do what he's supposed to do, which is be a dictator.
He's out of control.
Right?
Right? Uncontrollable.
That's right. And so the momentum is being lost. Well, now you got to toss away your tossaways earlier, because now they're just dead weight, because you've got to, you're not nimble. You're in the other thing about the ubiquitous they too is that they don't have the capacity, because of the structure and their actual structure as well, can only mimic but not have the first line idea or creativity of the thing. That's why so many people will say, well, why do they keep redoing the same, they've got the same kind of scenario, the same kind of footprint and game plan and steps, and they just wash and repeat, because that's what they're capable of. That when you have the propensity that they do, which is the Anunnaki and the Draco, they cannot do, they don't have in their cognitive process, even though they may be mostly human, in their cognitive process, they do not have the capability to have that creative input to go, oh, okay, well, this worked and we got derailed here, or they caught on here, so we'll do the creative spin-off here. They can't do that. They simply are incapable of having. That's why you keep seeing it over and over again.
Over and over.
Well, the thing for one thing for me that in all of what you just said, that's one of the reasons why discernment in regards to, just because it sounds like it's a really good thing and it's out there to help folks. This is, again, for me, it goes back to that conversation that I really, really, really want to have in regards to ritual intention. If something is set up by someone and it sounds really good, and I'm on board for love, and I'm all on board for supporting this, and because it sounds like it's a really good thing, right? It's they talk about helping people or whatever it is, right?
Right.
So, but that's not their intention.
That's
and
correct.
So you get a whole bunch of folks, because like I said, I've seen an awful lot of light workers even that have joined in with some of these protests for Black Lives Matter. And I get that they have the best intentions in mind. In their hearts, they really, they want to be supportive. Although for me, on one level, it's a method of separation. It's a method of division.
And
overall,
hierarchy, big time.
Yes.
Big time.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and middlemen, we don't, if you yourself, within yourself, have the ability to affect change just by being yourself, just by being, step into the gap. If you see something that's missing, be that. That's way more empowering than leaving it to someone else to fix and, throwing my support at it. Yeah, I like what you're doing over there. Because that too is more of the same unoriginality. And this is the moment for each one to stand up and be what they think is lacking in the world, or be the solution that they're looking for.
Right. And you both, actually, I want to mark this here, because coming from, actually, it's coming from the same quarter, but with different streams meeting each other. So Sheila was talking about how it's created in such a way, so the energy frequency in which it was conceived and then fleshed out and brought, the plan is now unfolding, is what creates the cohesive structure, in this case the marketing slogan of Black Lives Matter, right? And all of the intention and all of that which is truly behind it, meaning which gives it its cohesive power as a structure to wield the kind of force, destructive force, in which it is wielded. And then what Lisa brought in is, about, great, you see something, you feel that it wells up, and you give voice to it and be it at the same time, and do it right there. And there may be, 1 and 10 and 20 and thousands that feel that same organic, genuine, from the wholeheartedness thing, and the frequency even if, let's say, if it's not the number of, not the amount of numbers that are, so 1 and then 10 others or 20, whatever it is, it's the power of that frequency, because the frequency that rising up came in, the neighborhood, the vibrational frequency neighborhood that came in, is far stronger than just any small portion of what this is over here, and can actually, you may have, if you think numbers right, maybe you have 1,000 over here and you have 10 over here, but because of the frequency and the intent behind it that it went through, it's far stronger. And so that's the other conversation that is fabulous, and I wrote it down so we can get back to that. But that's where that not understanding, not looking at it, of how this sequential setup is handled. So the evil wizard behind the curtain, so to say, has got this whole thing set up, and then programs Toto, who's supposed to be good, who has the right to go and do something. And so you think, oh, it's Toto, Toto's good, and with Dorothy and all that kind of stuff, right? But really, unbeknownst to Toto, mostly, unless they start to put it together and focus, you're carrying water for the evil guy behind the screen, and the gasoline that you're throwing on the fire, literally and figuratively. Just in that. Now that's not the only one. It's in all of those things. I mean, that's the beauty of this, from the nuance and the complexity of it, and also the kind of the stumbling blocks of how to navigate all this stuff, because there's this over here and this over here and this over here, and many of that, right, is helping to redirect. So another example, because you were talking about this, Sheila, before we went live, is that there are a number of people who follow Q, and they're getting kind of worried or whatever, and they're thinking, well, Trump somehow is in cahoots with the Ubiquitous They and all that kind of stuff. But that's, again, one of those designed plans of, they tell you what they're going to do, they do it, and then they give you the reprise of what they did. So a lot of that, they do it through projection. So they said he, meaning Trump, or the White Hats, or however you're going to want to categorize it, he's not going to do this, or he's going to do this. And what they're doing is projecting exactly what they've done already. And so that it puts that out there. And again, unless you are willing to stand in your power and read the waters of what's going on, because attachment, or you're thinking that there's something outside of you is going to say, there's a savior meme or whatever it is, right? Or the sides meme, or whatever it is you're focusing on. But you're left yourself, you're the most powerful one in the equation as it relates to you. You've totally left out of the conversation. So that's another way that is oft used all the time, that gets confusing if you're not in this place.
Well, yeah, because part of the name of the game, obviously, is, again, like I said, this is very close to Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. They create this situation specifically to get reactions and to get things started or whatever, right? That's why I feel like specifically with a lot of what has been going on through all of what we're seeing now, I mean, like right now.
Well, forever. It's always been our own power turned against us.
Right.
So that's what's happening here.
And one of the ways that you can decode that pretty simply, even without knowing, okay, you read the water enough to say that there's water and it's going that way. You can't maybe not pick up the nuances yet, or
right.
or who's playing what role of the Ubiquitous They's plan, right? Who's but you can see, because right now, look at it, it's only June 17th, right? I think.
Yeah, go ahead and say only, BZ, because I'm sorry. It was just January for me not that long ago. So go ahead.
But look at what's happened, right? To tell you that that they're not being able to do it, that they're barely holding on, that they're behind the eight ball, that, you can come up with all sorts of, euphemisms for it. But so you have the hoax of impeachment, and that really hasn't really gotten warmed up, and they have the first the whole timeline of COVID and how that came, and then you have the everybody's sequestered and all that kind of stuff, and it's going to be till the fall, till next year, till because the plan was that would easily work. Snow everybody. Well, it worked pretty good because people got snow and gave up their rights all over the place really fast, but that's a whole other story. For the election, and that would be excuse me, blamed on Trump or whatever. Well, that wasn't working because people were starting to wake up and say, oh, hang on, I can't do what? So then they had to do something. So what I'm saying is the speed at which the new thing, I mean, even if you're snoring really loudly, somewhere you got to look and go, this just really effed up stuff going on here, man. It's just, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then, I mean, look at the other things. Look at the whole thing within COVID, right? So you didn't have this supply or didn't have that supply, and so Trump got him to make that and got him to make that and got him to make that. Well, now we don't have, the truckers aren't delivering. Well, he got all his buddy truckers and he talked to him and they said, yeah, man, we got to handle it. Okay, well, so it's a supply chain. Well, no, they handled that. And then look at what happened. I mean, they did the whole meat scare, and there's not going to be enough meat. And in all the grocery stores around here, there were big placards that say, because of the shortage, customers can't take more than 2 kinds of pork, or one of this or one of that. And they were there for a while. And it was this whole, because, oh, okay, we're going to scare them. There's no meat to eat. And so it worked. You like the toilet paper, And well, then that didn't work to them because people weren't buying it. And they were going, well, hey, wait a minute. So all those signs have now been taken down. And so if you actually stop again and get out of the tunnel vision and stand here and you go, oh yeah, those signs are gone. And I see this, right? Mm-hmm. And then you had, well, you can't, you're the mom and her baby at the park, they're killers. Because they're outside, or those damn churchgoers. Oh my God, they're gonna just infect, right? And then, of course, they step in it with their next plan that they had to pull because Sleepy Joe says he ain't black. Okay, now that messed up. So now we have, this was always planned, the Antifa and the riots and having a sacrificial being to light the ignition of this was all planned. And if you don't know yet about, all that happened with the supposed execution on camera, there's a lot of stuff that's public record. Right now you can see it. It's in all sorts of ways, and you put those dots together. So that match was always there to be lit. It was just a card way to play. And they played the card. They had to ramp up the card playing a little faster because the you ain't black thing, right? So that hurried it along. And they kind of forgot the whole, well, we're trying to scare everybody if they go out thing. So now we have everybody going out doing all these things. Well, now we have to do the thing. Well, the experts are saying, well, no, that's good for your health and to go out there. And then within an hour of each other, they have, major newspapers saying it's okay to protest, but the rally that Trump's doing, is no good.
It's a bad idea.
So, like I say, it's making it really easy for people who are snoring incredibly loud to go, what? Right? Even if they think Orange Man is the worst, terrible being in all of the galaxies, they're still going, huh?
Well, part of it too, though, for me is actually doing some self-education in a lot of stuff, because I'll tell you, I went to the post office today. So, hey, E-Squirrel, if you're out there, your artwork's on your way to you. I promised I was going to do that today. As I was standing on the tape 6 feet from the other person in front of me, I saw the sign in the post office that said, the CDC recommends. Nothing has been made mandatory anywhere,
Right.
any of this.
Right.
So for me, there's that piece too. And that standing in the center of your own sovereignty and going and finding a thing out for yourself instead of relying on, Joe Bob on the TV to tell you, because guess what? They're not telling anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Lisa and I tried to watch the presser today with the press secretary, Kaylee McEnany, and again, we couldn't because there was a lot of reverb going on, and you really couldn't even hear
It was a mess.
the report.
And on every station too, because I tried a couple outlets.
Well,
it was at point of source. That's what they had a problem.
Right, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, the thing of it is, though, it's just that, again, if folks would take a look at the actual thing and not the clips
Right.
that the news,
Sound bites.
Yeah, the sound bites that are framed specifically for a particular purpose,
Right.
to get a particular message across. Like you said, BZ, it's all marketing.
It is.
And watch the whole thing in its entirety. You can see, sense, and feel what's going on. The questions that are being asked, the way they're framed. I mean, just the pure stupidity. I'll give you an example. You were speaking today, just now, about, because there was on the front, I guess it's the front page of the New York Post. There's a picture of this, protest that's going on in New York with thousands of people, elbow to elbow. Yes, not 6 feet apart at all.
Saul's masks. I mean, a few token, designer masks here and there, but that's it.
Right. And the picture of that right next to a picture of folks protesting the lockdown. Okay. That happened earlier on.
With riot gear, riot police.
Right. Okay. So there's that. And Kaylee McEnany brought this up in her presser today. And some of these reporters are still trying to say, that they're having an issue because, Trump wants to rally. And she said, I did hear her say this, you take a risk anywhere you go. You go to a ball game, you're taking a risk.
Sure.
And this is true. It doesn't really matter.
But they're just trying to use that risk to themselves. And what particularly put their assets of the various medias, almost all, not all, but almost all, deploy the assets of, God, we got to shoot this whole rally down because he had, a million, it is clicked over 1 million tickets sold. And I have to say, because I thought, I looked into it, I thought, okay, I'm going to sign up for him because I could decide to go, but I wanted to be adding to that total. So I got one for me and one for Keegan, and we got tickets, and and we're 2 of the million in that ticket thing. Because it sends a message, to what goes on. I want to go back for a minute, something that you were saying too, about that it's recommended or this, that, and the other thing. This is all another way. People sometimes feel, they're doing this to us. I don't have any control of it. Yeah, you do. Because it can't be said often enough just how incredible, amazing, brilliant, and powerful you are. And you absolutely are. You are essential and significant to this unwinding and unbinding. So one simple thing, take, for example, the masks and this thing. I don't wear a mask, won't wear a mask, don't wear one at work here, other people, owners and everything. And I just go, hey, I don't. But yet I'm part of the one who takes protocols and makes sure everybody's safe and all that kind of stuff. We started up a sniffing class for Keegan today. And the lead up to that, we got an email from the woman who runs it, and she said, well, the state and the county, is mandatory, the law, all these things seem to be used interchangeable, and they are absolutely not. So educate yourself on that. And about if we have class indoors, you have to wear a mask. We'll try to hold class outdoors as much as possible. And so I wrote her an email, said, I'm thrilled that you're opening up class again. However, and I respect it, I don't know what your perspective on it is, but I respect if you have fears, if you have real fears about COVID, or if you have fears because you're a small business owner and you think that the state can, jerk you around or a combination of those. I absolutely respect those. And until you say that it's not mandatory, we won't be coming back. I said I was willing to take a risk to drive 3 hours round trip to play with my dog and get there, and the weather turned, and so it had to be inside. Then I would just go home and drive all that way for nothing. I was willing to invest that in me. But if you're saying just off the top, or the first thing, I have to wear a mask, I won't do it. And I explained why. I talked about the color of law. By the way, on the IUV, I've updated that post now. There's a PDF there that you can print out. It's all formatted. It has the seal from the Department of Justice and the Attorney General. It's all there. Print it out. What I did actually for work is I printed it out on hard stock and laminated it and handed it into the general manager's office because they have the state guidance. And I said, great. I just thought you'd be interested by, United States Attorney General. This is their guidelines, and this is their rights for all employees. So you can print that out. But anyways, I told her all of that, and then I went and looked up what she was pointing to as the actual counties, guidelines, and you have to do this. And because, and actually the color of law has been since updated. Originally it was updated on May 4th. And when I was looking, I think it's May 16th or 19th, one of those two. But all of these states, no matter what they give kind of lip service to, if you go and look at the actual things where specifically if it's in writing, they're incredibly careful with how they word it now. And the biggest typeface on the whole page was at the very bottom where it says, there are no repercussions to this. There's no enforcement teeth. It's fascinating. It's the largest font type size on the entire page. It's all the way at the bottom, so you have to actually read. But it says that you won't get in trouble. There will be no action. Da, 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 da. So when I said this to the person who does the nose work, she wrote back and she said, well, you're absolutely right. It's a request. Well, that wasn't in her emails. It was mandatory. It was the law. It was this, right? And she said the state has requested that small business owners request that the people who come into their business or their classes or whatever it is, right, that they wear a mask. And I said, well, cool, but I'm not wearing a mask. So just letting you know. She said, well, that's fine. You can come anyway. So I went today, and there were 6 teams there, and I was the only one who didn't have a mask. And I didn't say my 6. The point I'm trying to make is that you're empowered. Don't just say yes-em.
Yeah, well, that's an important part. Now, what I want to share something I just figured out works. Apparently, no one else is able to put links in a live chat, but I am, because it's my YouTube channel. So I wanted to let everyone know that I put the link to the color of law that BZ is speaking on at the IUV in the show more section in the chat. So it's there for you guys. Just click on that and you can go there and print that PDF out for yourself. I wanted to take
I have a copy of it too in my bag. So if I'm driving anywhere or someone says no, actually this is my note, my personal note from from the United States Attorney General, and I don't have to. And see here, you can contact him if you have any questions.
Well, it's really very surprising to me as to how many people really haven't educated themselves and don't know that it's not a mandatory thing.
It's not.
That they can't get into any trouble. And even
the business owners can't.
Well, and the other thing is for me too, that what they've done is they make it sound like, they make folks feel like if they don't do this, then they're cruel and they're subjecting others to the possibility that maybe they're an asymptomatic carrier, and which is BS in the first place. And
even
it's
the
really,
WHO says it's BS now.
and the other thing that's really quite disturbing for me is that because they haven't done any kind of self-education in regards to wearing a mask anyway, they're endangering their own health.
Absolutely. Terribly.
Not just because of the buildup of CO2 that absolutely happens. Anyone that has been wearing a mask for work knows that they're not feeling quite right. And there's been, because everywhere we go, I ask when folks are at work, because first of all, I'm nosy. Secondly, I want to know, is that mandated? Is your employer mandating that you have to wear a mask to do your job? Because I really want to know what employers are doing that. And almost all of them are. And
yes, but some of that's the thing. If you stood up for yourself, right, and you challenged it and you say, well, great, is corporate have a fund going to take care of all the people, all the employees who are sick from all the toxicity from wearing it? What did you say? What? What is it you just said? Well, yeah, because we were in the break room, we were all talking about it, and we just wanted to know where the fund is, for the liability that's going on with this. Because so these are you don't have to be a revolutionary. You don't have to, go be an Antifa. You don't have to go break store windows or beat the shit out of people or kill them or do any of those kinds of things. You just simply have to stand in the truth of who you are, look around, educate yourself, be contemplative about it. And if you choose to do it, then choose from I choose to do this and own it, rather than they're making me, or I gotta, or, well, you don't understand. Because the frequency, the two various frequencies between those two things are light years, galaxies, apart.
And the frequency that you're speaking on is what you're creating for your next moment of now.
That's right.
For experience. And I want to bring up something here too, because it's even more insidious, in my opinion. The theme, the underlying message, in particular with this mask, is that I think it was a church. There was a billboard we drove by, and somebody put the words on there, masking for a friend. They have made it so that it is a bad thing to take care of yourself. To look out for you is immoral, because that was an argument brought up to me, that I don't wear the mask for me. I'm wearing it for those that are vulnerable and that I could potentially, well, that's really a slippery slope, in my opinion.
You bet. It's really slippery slope. People are on greased ass sliding down the slope fast.
I mean, I'm just saying, you are telling your body that everyone else's opinion, or because it's really just an opinion, they're if you go to looking, there's no hard facts or evidence or studies to support this.
No, actually,
That,
much to the contrary.
right.
You're absolutely right. It is
Exactly.
much to the
So
contrary.
you're saying I'm not important and it's okay for me to kill myself so that no one else feels uncomfortable.
Well, again, Lisa, for
Hang
me,
on, wait a second. Let me just mark this right because this is really important. So what Sheila was talking about just before that and what Lisa just said here, remember, there is no separation between thought and deed. And you have always been powerful. You have always been amazingly brilliant and powerful. Now you're beginning to see it now. And there's no separation between thought and deed. So if you're carrying out by choice, whether you're doing it consciously or not, it's a choice. You are choosing. It's choosing. You're carrying this out. Unless you are doing it in a way that is fully standing in your power and knowingly doing it, that's the only way you can mitigate the frequency of that. Otherwise, you are fully in the subjugation camp, and that's the thought and the deed on yourself. So you are saying, bring it on. Bring on every subjugation that's possible. Bring on every cowering and lowering myself and putting myself underneath. And I'm not worthy of anything. That is all of the things that you're instructing into the code with your magic wand, which is incredibly powerful. And if you don't think so, just wait a nanosecond and watch what you've brought to you and unfolds, because it will be stunning. Like a cattle prod prodding you with big electric shocks, stunning, of what you are setting up for yourself. And the beauty of it is just the slight shift in that and coming from your center and how you set it up will be stunningly beautiful of what you are creating. In fact, people are saying this is taking so long. Well, yeah, stand in your power and you will shorten it dramatically, because it's one more huge, powerful energy field that you are emitting, which is changing, hastening, expanding the very last parts of this unwinding and unbinding.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but
and by participating in any way, shape, or form, you're actually empowering it.
Yes.
And then you're saying, why won't it go away? Well, because you keep feeding it.
Right.
well, that's very true. That goes to partly what I was feeling there about the whole thing. You know, by not educating oneself, by taking it on that, well, and actually someone said this to me, I'm wearing a mask for those that can't, that are vulnerable. Now I can't, I am vulnerable, but I sure as shit don't want anybody putting their self at risk
Thank you.
for me.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
Number one.
And actually, it's up to each one to maintain health. I cannot make you healthy. I cannot stop you from getting ill at all. I can stop myself from getting ill, and that's a bigger picture, and it's about how I conduct myself on a daily basis, not just while at the grocery store or in a public arena. That setup, whether I'm going to get sick or not, is a decision I'm making every moment of the day by how I'm treating my body. And my body either can withstand anything or hardly anything at all. And again, that has nothing to do with anyone out there, but all to do with me.
Right.
And how I'm thinking and feeling and behaving. How am I treating my body?
And I want to say too that this is in these moments right now, because of where we are and what is unfolding, and the plan, and the plan, and the that this is the end. This is the end of the false construct, the unwinding and binding of all of it. So if somehow there's a feeling that you're connecting with, well, I'm helping others by wearing a mask, then investigate that and see what the ramifications really are. And then step back for a moment and realize what I really connect with, like what I just said about these moments that we're in, and then bringing it down. And in not wearing a mask, or at the very least choosing consciously and educating yourself and standing in your knowing, getting out of the fear and standing in your knowing, realize all of the countless lives and hours of suffering and torture and all manner of things that you may not even be aware of what are going on, that you are actually hastening the end of by no longer, as Lisa says, being willing to feed what is going on, because it's much, much bigger than that. And what Lisa speaks to about, you have the power for your own health. I haven't had a cold in 35, 38 more years. I've never had a flu shot ever, 56, I think. And I've never had the flu. And I've been right next to people who've had, a honking flu.
Yeah.
And nothing.
I used to get the flu shot every year. I worked with children, and it just was always required. And I didn't want to, but I did it. And I had the flu every year. Yes.
Funny how that works.
Well,
Straight up.
I want to say here that in regards to the Ubiquitous They and what they're doing, and this other thing about now it's left. Damn it.
It'll come back. Just relax.
Yeah, don't grab for it.
Yeah. Well, since it left, I'm going to say hello to everybody who is here.
Okay.
Make Earth Love Again is in the room. I'm so glad to see you, Lori. Prol 111 said gorgeous flowers, BZ. So
yeah, they really are.
You
Very
feel
spectacular.
new to the channel. Welcome.
Aren't they? Look at that.
Fawn Denmark is in the house, of course. Love it, Fawn. I'm glad you're here.
BZ, what's the tall thing there? Is that purple?
Yeah, that's purple. It's a delphinium.
Oh, that is gorgeous. Yeah. Delphinium.
And the peonies, unfortunately, we don't have smell of YouTube, but they're very
fragrant.
And we have Lucas Schick, who says, love you all. Thank you.
Love to you too.
So welcome, everyone. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to go ahead and put them in there, as I am keeping track over there.
Thank you.
So I guess what I really it really felt important too, so I don't want to grab for it, but by everyone thinking that they're doing something for someone else and by not educating themselves, I really feel there's a connection. It's lost exactly what it is. It will come around again. Between the title of this, they will tell you, then they will do it, and then they're going to recap what they've done. Lisa, you talked about the morality of not taking care of self. Oh, I know what it is. Yes, exactly. Part of this this whole thing, you hit on something very important, Lisa, in regards to the health. And I was very pleased. We actually sort of touched on it. I can't remember if it was in a private conversation or if it was in another conversation that we did on camera.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the roundtables that President Trump did in regards to the opportunity zones and things like that, one of the members of that table spoke to getting to the root of the issue in regards to, because a lot of what has happened in all of this with the COVID is that it's been pretty prevalent in specific, they're saying, in specific areas to specific people. And that is people who are not in good health.
I think it was Senator Scott who was saying that.
Yes, you're right. It was Senator Scott that said that. And specifically those who have comorbidities. which is something that I have, and a lot of people who haven't taken good care of their health. Now we can, argue, well, there's not good health care and all of that. But quite frankly, as speaking of someone who had great health care, but still didn't take care of their
At the
health.
worst health.
Right.
Yeah, if you're relying on health care for your health, you're probably
then you're really in bad shape.
Yeah, you're lacking
really
health.
unhealthy.
That's for sure. You're the comorbidity folks that were.
Yes, and I should probably clarify, I didn't grow up with good health care at all. But of course, when I got really sick, I did have good health care. But the thing of it is that, folks don't get to have poor health and comorbidities, in one day. And it's the constant not taking care of self, right? So there's something, there's a connection in there.
And all bodies, all selves, right? It's
Right.
not just the physical,
Right.
tangible, your muscles, your tendons, organs, all that kind of stuff. Yes, that's a big part of it. But the out there doesn't get out there until you put it out there, which starts with all of your other bodies, because that's how it physically manifests in the structure of your physicality as the last thing.
Right.
And so that goes back even further to what Lisa said about, this somehow not putting yourself first, right?
Yeah.
You're then instilling that program, slotting it right in there and soldering it in so that it's a good tight bond in there.
Yep.
Of your not even last, you're not even on the list.
No.
Right? And it damn well better be that way so you can fit in, and and all this new slogans and marketing things that are going on, and will beat you within an inch of your life if you don't follow it. And ironically, there's this whole, as one example, there's many examples, but right now as top of everybody's tongue is Black Lives Matter. But there's an awful lot of Black people who are telling you, get away from me with that. That is the biggest lie and deceit and manipulation and bullshit and ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you have no idea what you're talking about.
There's been a couple of like what they called founding members that have actually come out and done videos about that, that it's not at all what it's purported to be.
Right.
I wanted to share with you guys that Susan Treves, I hope I pronounced that right, sweetie, said, I do think everyone needs to keep their immune system at its best and not to complain that one is not feeling well. So for me, no masks. We need to focus on being healthy, not sick.
Right.
And I really feel like that was exactly what you were speaking on there. We are creator beings. In every moment, we create our own reality through our own physical lensing mechanisms. That's my feeling on it. And so, yeah, I'm in total agreement.
Yeah. One other point too, again, that this, you spoke to it earlier, Sheila, about making that choice and how it's so important right now. And you, I don't remember the exact example, but you cited an example, not around the mask per se, but in general about what's going on. And then I had, so to add to that, I'd given the example that it's not the numbers per se, like, well, this side or idea or something has 1,000, this only has 10. It's the veracity, the volume and the frequency of the energy frequency that those who are awake and aware, who are the light warriors, who are holding this, who are actually in charge now and control of the timeline and what's unfolding, have far more the ratio, I'm not sure that anybody is aware of the actual ratio, but you could easily say, 1,000 to millions over here is the same kind of thing, because this is such a clean and clear, intentionally and in a direct line source to you, that because there is that whole, it's all one, and it's that clean, clear line. because that is occurring, not only is that great, because even if a whole bunch of people are still asleep, the gravitas that those who are awake and are knowing, right, and wield that power, wield that absolute creative force, makes it much easier to shift and hold things, and then keep kind of an overflowing fountain of that knowing and that frequency force. But this is the point I want to make even bigger. Because they do that, and because there is that power, when they don't consciously tap into it and hold that, and in their direct knowing, they can actually consciously or unconsciously, hopefully mostly it's unconsciously, and I wish they'd quit doing that, they can tip the scales a bit. And they're not going to tip it off. That ship sailed, and that's why so much stuff is going on right now, because the ubiquitous, they know that, but they'll take whoever they can get down with them, right? But you not only do you feed it, but you're giving power to it. You're actually playing for the other side.
Yep.
Actively, with your considerable concerted power. So if you think you're small, it's a lie you're telling yourself, and now's a good time to let that one go if you choose to. But beyond that, you're actually, throwing rockets or grenade launchers or tanks or whatever, big powerful tool you want to come with in this on a narrower focus, this war that's going on. It's a physical and a spiritual war that's going on from a narrower aperture. You're adding to that. You're playing on the other side. All those things that you want to see go away, you're actually actively, consciously engaged on their side, fighting against all, not just on this planet.
Well, see, again, you're speaking to that conversation that I've felt is really so important in regards to, what we are lending our energy to. If something has, such as what we're seeing now, has been created with the intention to divide, with the intention to throw things into chaos. And because it's got a good marketing slogan, and well, who doesn't want to support Black folks? Because, hey, Black folks, Black lives do matter, right? Everybody wants to support the fact that they do matter, right? But that's not what the intention was. Make no mistake. It's division.
And it's beyond just intention. And when the intention that you're speaking of, just to flesh it out a little, is the actual intention, but it's a spell. It's a spell around the words. It's a spell around the marketing slogan, and how it actually has hooks in it that are not only, eyeball hooks and just kind of a linear brain way of looking at something, but it has energetic hooks in it and it's actually fascinating. It's very, very reminiscent of the programming that we've talked about a lot. There's all different kinds, but the program where they can set it and forget it. The ubiquitous they can set it and forget it, because, hey, look at all those useless idiots. They just
pick
shame
it up and run with it.
That's right. They shame others to stay in line, or they this, or they that, or they, right. And hey, it's just so, and I'll be darned. Look at your screens. What do you see is happening? Anybody steps on, you just beat them to a pulp, So, unless you like the chaos, unless you like what the ubiquitous they is doing, and you're all for it, in which case, great, that's a choice, that's your choice, all the power to you. Actually, I can say safely that our power is much bigger than that, so no worries. But unless that's the case, take some moments every day and be within you and connect with that divinity, that holding of you, and educate yourself from a linear and a multidimensional sense of just what is going on, what the read the waters and the ramifications that are going on. And if you still are not certain that you're not small, or you're really hung on to the fact that you're small, then suspend that for a minute and think for a moment, that, and stand in the fact that you have all this power and it makes all that difference. Would you still wield it the same way? Or would you put more effort into being conscious and being the truth of who you are, and consciously, with informed consent, wield it that way?
Well, I wanted to share that Bailey Lane has joined us. Good evening, Bailey. And she says that the BLM, when you, as a word, I'm sorry, I did not know that. Thank you. And I just looked it up. BLM is actually a word, bellum, BELLUM, and it's war.
Mm-hmm.
A state of open, armed, often prolonged conflict carried on between nations, states, or parties.
Yeah.
The second one is a period of such conflict. The third is the techniques and procedures of war. Military science. Well,
that's what I'm talking about. It's a spell.
I tell you.
It's a marketing. It's a marketing slogan.
Then they do it.
Which is a spell. So, and what's the title of this thing?
Yeah, they tell
you what they're gonna do, then they do it, right? And then they tell you what they did. This is what I'm saying. This is why it's really important to find and hold your place in this, because you're incredibly powerful. This is not just coincidence. This is just not happenstance. This isn't just, well, that's odd. This is planned and choreographed, and the complexity is done in a way. If you don't believe in woo-woo, now would be a really good time to at least make yourself aware of what's going on, because the ubiquitous we dang sure knows exactly all the woo, the ins and outs, and how to do it with dates and the energies around them, and the energies of unleashing things and signals and symbolism and all that kind of stuff. And they're using it all the time. And boy, a whole lot of y'all, they have you with a ring in your nose, leading you exactly where they want to go. And you think that it's your idea, and it's the greatest, most philanthropic, most love, open-hearted thing that you've ever done, and you couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, I really feel you're right about that whole thing about the spell, BZ, because especially now that, I mean, I've always known they do that all the time. But thank you, Bailey Lane, for sharing that with us. And I'll put a link to that in the show more section.
Wow.
So anyone else can go and look for yourself. But having that on board now in my field of knowledge here, coupled with some of this other stuff that's going on, like the kneeling that went on by all those at the Capitol building or wherever they were, and also those that have been marching in masks, carrying signs saying, "I can't breathe." Jesus, that is such a, I mean, just on the
you're willingly standing up and saying, enslave me. I'm doing a whole mantra, actively, consciously, willingly, fully engaged to have you rape and pillage me, and I am just fine as kind with it. Thank you very much. Keep doing it, and please do it for millennia to come. I require it. That's exactly what everybody is saying. Make no mistake about it. Exactly what's going on.
Well, I'm as I said, I'm very surprised at how many that claim to be light workers that haven't felt into this and done some. You remember I've said I have felt this for some time now. if you only have the spiritual piece, and and all you want to be exposed to is love and light, and you don't want to know about all the conspiracy theories and all the other stuff, or if all you have is the conspiracy theories and looking for truth, those two things have to be married.
That's part of the holding and the unwinding and unbinding. You can't bring it down without that.
No, that's
and
right.
that is that intertwining, that, like if you think of DNA, right? DNA is a spiral, right. So it's that holding. That is what you are. That is the total of what you are, particularly in general as a multidimensional being structure. But in this third density, in this polarity thing, that is what you are. And when you bring it together and you cognize the winding back of that, the threading back of that, the weaving back of all of that, you can feel, as I'm saying this and doing this, you can feel your whole energy pattern and structure is actually coalescing and coming into a cohesive structure once again, with the heart leading and the head, with the heart leading and the head in service to what it is that's going on.
No, you're exactly right.
As you do that, if you're one or the other, it's not, that's actually increasing the polarization and the polarity. It's increasing the duality of that and giving more weight to lock for your personal reality, which is what you create and all the people you bring into it. It's keeping them locked apart. And so you can never come to a resolution, and you're actually in the trifurcation right now of the worlds. You're choosing a path that is actually an anathema to what you say you want, if you're on the spiritual side or on the truth side. You're actually going over in a different road, and not the one you think it is, because you haven't loved yourself or those others that you profess to love and want to give and light and all that kind of stuff enough to reach in and get that information. You could look at the screen, you could look at this video, you could look at some article, you could look at all that kind of stuff, but you have it all right in here. And so if you really are in that spiritual thing, you can ask the questions. When you shun from it, what you resist persists. And because you're so dang powerful, you're creating more of it, right? Because it's going on, that battle is going on within you. And how does the out there get out there? When you put it out there. And so remember, we did a video not that far, well, maybe as far back, a month or something ago, where we can use the out there, turn it around for a minute, use the out there to decode what's going on within us, the new information that's coming in, the things that we're having to integrate and release, all the distortions coming in without us. Because there's so much going on within us, we've amplified that to clean and clear and integrate it all for the massive expansion that's happening on all of our bodies, right? We've super hyper accelerated, and so out there is now can be a playbook or a kind of a laser pointer to show us back in here what we may be missing on that road.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to give a shout out to I Am Shimale, who just joined. I don't know if she just joined us, but she says, excellent recap and analysis of what is unfolding in the world around us. And I really do feel that the metaphor of all of that, you're right, BZ, it can be from the inside out, or it can be from the outside in. That's why I said for me, and everybody's mileage may vary, but for me, I just see, because I started my waking up journey as becoming aware of the conspiracies, the geopolitical corruption that has gone on the planet, just diving headlong into all of that. And I was not interested in the spiritual stuff. As you say, spiritual, that reeks of religion. And I was like so fed up with that BS. I wanted nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, you guys are all crazy. And then trying to look into the new age, none of that really felt right either, because that just felt like more, do as I say, not as I do kind of crap for the most part, what I was seeing, because there was an awful lot of gurus that are telling you one thing and doing something completely different.
Yeah.
And, so that sounded more like the preacher I just, didn't care to hear too. So no thanks. But the marriage of those two things together, and just, it also, from the reason I'm saying it's metaphor, is that, there's got to be a sacred union within
Right.
self.
That's right.
And so it's all in for me, everywhere I look and feel into, it's all right there anymore.
Because source is all, everything, all, just, it's a good word. It means all. Yes, that too, and that too, and that too, and that too. Yep.
Yep.
Right.
All.
It is that holding. And love absolute is that holding, the perceived good and the perceived bad.
Right.
Not one piece of data missing. Not one. That's another good phrase. Not one means none of it's missing. It's all there. Yes, that one too. That bad rat bastard and that great, angelic, person, whatever it is, right? Or super good sleuther and truther.
Right.
And yes, in many quadrants, as things are, coming forward, and we're going to have a conversation about that next part in a little bit. But that's a pickle for some people. That's really hard. That's really, frustrating and bedeviling and, pun intended. And, the distortion there and the kind of wrestling with how to integrate that is for some is difficult. And no argument there. I mean, I've gone through various, all the things I've been exposed to, gone through various times and travels with that. But that's how the holding happens. You can't unwind this. You can't stop what's going on. You can't have, perceived justice, although we won't have, luckily, we won't have earth justice because it doesn't exist and it's working just fine the way it is. We'll have true, cosmic universal justice around what's going on, and it'll be of the energetic kind, and from it's a whole other story, but the holding of the source flow of that, the 0 point flow of that. But in order to get there has to be the holding, because source is all, and it bifurcated, bifurcated into all of these different things. It's unfolded all of this stuff to go forth to know source, going out as far, played as far and wide as we could, turning around, and now we're unwinding and unbinding this whole false construct. And with the ascension, with all of that, we are multidimensional. So all the aspects of us agreed that it would be right here, these beings on this blue planet, this very special living library planet. And all of these beings who are, make no mistake, there's no mistake that you're here right now, that you, and then all of your aspects in coming back into you would be the seat of that intention, the seat of that consciousness, the seat of the soul, was a good book, will come in, and that's what's happening at this moment, which will not only change this planet. No, it's not just the little humans who've had a hard time getting spiritual and the whole thing going on. It's all. It will change all, in all of Source's multiverses. This has ramifications for all. And as I said, it's the real big bang that we're all lighting off, right? This is what we're doing. So it takes a little bit of time because it's a little bit of stuff that we're doing here.
Yeah. And I find that the more I'm actually on task where I need to be, meaning I'm focused right here and right now, the more I'm grateful things are the way they are. Like, you know, it's a lot of work, and it is right on time. Like, I've lost the are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because I can see, sense, and feel where I am.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for where I am.
You're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yes. And I'm finally doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm no longer at war with myself.
Right.
And so the more that I look around, I no longer see a world at war with me.
Right.
I can see people at war with themselves, yes,
Yes.
and have compassion for that, and hold space for their inner peace, because I know that each one of us has the capability, if you will, to make that happen for themselves, and that they came here for that experience. And I don't begrudge anyone their experience, because I'm enjoying mine and I value my experience, all the lessons I'm learning.
Well, I want to point something out about what you just said there, though, Lisa, because quite frankly, the three of us had that. I think it was the last time that the three of us had a recording together. I saw her. She's been wanting to get in on this conversation.
I know she's got something she wants to add. I'm ready for the boom coming from the cat.
Yay! The mic drop.
She does this, or she may say, "Okay, cut this one. I got something you guys have to go do. Go play."
Oh, she might be. Yeah, she's done that before. But we, during our last recorded conversation, the alchemical epiphany that came to me, the reason that you have the ability to do what you just said, Lisa, is because you are honoring self. That's the only reason I now know this, because of what, and it's affecting me again. That conversation that we had the last time. Once we truly grok the honoring of self, it makes it available for all others.
That's
and
right.
There's a difference. There's a huge difference between an intellectual exercise. Oh, I'm honoring myself. Hey, have I done that?
Me too.
Okay, and there is a difference. And quite frankly, wearing a mask for anybody else is not honoring self.
No,
and so we can say we're doing it for somebody else. I'm gonna do that for you because
I just want to add one other thing, because it's interesting, the intersection of what you were just pointing out here. I want to give voice to this. So, because you were talking about you're a little surprised. A lot of the spiritual people and light workers are into the Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff, and not being able to sense and see what's going on there, which is kind of surprising too. But anyways, what I wanted to don't go away. No, come back here right now. Oh, about just on the mask is that I think it was probably 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. I don't know, when the mask drum was really starting to get boom 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 drum drum drum, mask. I thought about it for different reasons, and then I had the whole conversation with my soul that if it was my choice, so if I chose, great. But if I chose that, I was choosing to go against to to back out of my word that I had given of what I had agreed to do here in these moments of now. And that the power of the power and brilliance of me for standing in my heart and being all that would be wielded in a way that I would not like, with giving that, not, it was more than consent to wear that mask, but actually adding my gravitas, and each being's gravitas is considerable. You know, some haven't figured it out yet, but it is.
Yeah.
So I would be adding that to the spell. And I thought, I would rather dematerialize right now than do that in any way, shape, or form. So I just wanted to, that's just one thing. I mean, that's the way that I absolutely hold it. Because it's beyond just wearing a mask or not for the beer thing. It is so far beyond that. That's just a little tiny, insignificant thing that this really is about. And in these moments, it's really helpful if people can have that conversation with themselves, because they're the only expert for them, nobody else.
Well, it's I want to say to you that it is a program. It is a program that we've been conditioned that to do for others and have self suffer, you know, that's a program. And again, and for I wanted to say that your mileage may vary, but you know, in this case, I don't really feel that well, I guess, you know, your mileage may vary because some people just don't feel that way. And I haven't the right to choose for you. However, for me personally, I know that was a program that I allowed, and I was conditioned the same way. You know, that, you know, you gotta do for others. But if I matter so little to me to put anyone else's needs, desires, hopes, or dreams above my own, where's the space for anyone else?
That's right.
Anyone else. There is no space. Because if I don't count, then really am I allowing anyone to count?
Well, that you've made it so it's, you're putting your energy in from light to dark.
Well, it seems that way, doesn't it? Because that's a very harvesting type of energy, the way I read that.
Well, it doesn't seem like it in my sphere. It doesn't seem at all. It absolutely is that way. But that's just me. There's no seem about it. But there you go.
Well, but you know, we've all been raised that way. You know, well, that's the way.
Yeah, well, I was raised that way and trained that way and programmed that way, and I started slashing my way out of that, you know, very, very young. Was trained by benevolent trainers to do that in a whole different way.
Well, that's why I wanted to call specific attention to what Lisa said there, because I have lived with Lisa now for 3 years. Well, we're coming up on 4, actually.
I can't believe it.
I know.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I know. But I now see, sense, and feel the truth of that, especially when in our last, you know, like I said, I had it intellectually, but it was an alchemical epiphany. Every fiber of my being finally got that in such a huge way. The words don't even, you can claim that you're holding compassion for others and giving space to that, but if you're not allowing that for yourself, how the effing hell can you do it in any other way?
You can't.
And
the frequencies are mutually exclusive of each other.
Yeah.
It's just lip service.
You can't give away what you do not have.
It's just lip service.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is.
And like I said, if you step into the fact that you're not small, and that you're amazing, you're a beautiful creator being. Well, no, you're really not. You're a beautiful kick-ass creator being. And
Yeah.
once you hold that, what you do, and the brilliant flames, the sublimely beautiful effervescent light that you are, comes forward and radiates out and transmits out. And then you say, I choose to do things for others. Well, watch out, because boy, you have lit it on fire with the full weight of source. That's what their patriots are talking about. The armor of God. Well, hello, that's what it is. Forged in the bright light of truth and love absolute. And the steel is honed to an edge that is unstoppable. And that's how you can do things for others. That's how you can be magnanimous and overflowing and giving and gifting. And that's the only way you can do it. It doesn't happen. If any other way is an inverted way.
Well,
And
you're
it
right.
holds the frequency of the inverted matrix, the false construct. And then what you're doing is you're giving your considerable gravitas to that. And magnifying, amplifying, juicing up that spell that they're trying with everything that they have, their last breaths, to cast that net over this planet and all, because it goes beyond this again. And that won't stand.
Well, as when this video, when we are complete here, I want to share with everyone at the end of this video and in the show more section, there will be a link to a few other videos that I've recorded today and one I have yet to record that speak to just what you're saying there. I really do feel that there are beings right now, all of us that are really holding ourselves. I'm finding there's a lot of beings saying the exact same thing through their own perception filters, yes. But BZ, you just spoke before about how those who are standing in the truth of what they are, of who they are, who and what they are, far outnumber, even though the numbers may be small, it's such an exponential thing, right? And there are, Magenta Pixie spoke to it. I've already put that video out today. She didn't have a chance to do her own video. I felt it was very important, so I recorded her words. There is someone else that I am going to be recording after we are finished here tonight. These folks are saying all the same words that you're speaking on here, and these two are bringing in specifically right now the alignments that are coming up with the solstice and the eclipse. And I feel that it's in some way very, very tied to what you're saying here. We stand in the truth of who we are. We know these energies are coming in, and they know it too. By the way,
They absolutely do. And let me add in here. So you say with this coming up the timing, I haven't had a chance to listen to the things you went to that you've mentioned. I want to put them on the IEB when I get around to 5 seconds to do that. But what I did want to point out here is that with this coming in, and the energies and all this element, it's coming in. It's kind of hard, confusing. The energies are coming in, but they don't come in as in something being done to us. They actually come in this way. They come in through us, which is, all of galaxies within us, and come out. We transmit them out, and then we kind of transmit them to each other. But one of the things I wanted to point out here is that you had talked about that with this with these alignments, and in this window that we're going into right now, coming up 2021-22, I think it is, right?
Right, of June. Yep.
Yeah. And all that is playing out within each selves, right? And all out there, that when you're not standing in that alignment of yourself, of that truth, of going in your true north, when you're not doing that, you are being a magnificent creator, and you are creating something, and in your reality, which again, you bring your players in your reality will be vastly different than what a piece of your cognizing ability is thinking that it is, because you've never stood in self to do that. Does that make sense? So you think you're painting this picture of this, and what you will actually, the energetic envelope of your reality that you will pop open and fully form and populate with costumes and all the actors and players within that for your reality that you will then live and walk through, will not be the one you thought that you were instructing to create. Because of that discordance, because of that split in knowing how to wield, where you have the holding, and so all of you, the spiritual and the knowing part, the different nuances to it, will not be hold, and so that you don't have that space. You're creating from it's not quite right, but maybe it's accurate, a severed place of that, whichever way, whichever half it is that you have. And so you'll create that. It'll be great, but it will not work out the way that you fully thought it was going to. Now I'm frozen.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've been kind of frozen back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, your
Sheila too.
video, not your sound. I'm getting your sound just fine. I hope everybody else is.
Yeah.
You guys feel free to let us know if we're, going robo or anything like that. Not that I can do anything about it, but just so I know, so I can ask somebody to repeat a thing.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I feel like I grasped what you said. I hope everyone else did, because I feel it. I couldn't repeat it for anybody, to be honest. But yeah, there's, like I said, when you were speaking to that, I was saying that the ubiquitous they are well aware of all of that.
Yes, and you're a puppet on their string.
Right.
When you're doing that, when you're not in the holding, when you haven't chose to empower, invest, however you want to describe it, it's all the same, and it's many more things all solidify into that, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you don't make that choice to invest, this goes back to what Lisa said, about honoring yourself and caring for that, right? So
Yep.
all that, but all on all of your bodies, all of your level, all that you are, right, which is enormous. It's enormous. It's far bigger than just here in the chair. When you don't make that choice, when you don't feel worthy of making that choice, when you allow someone else to dictate how your actions be, and how many millions of others, Black lives and others, that you put above you, right, then you are actually a puppet on a string for the ubiquitous they.
Yeah.
And you are acquiescing, and you are full-throated, wholeheartedly saying, yeah, marionette me, go right ahead, because I haven't chose to stand for me, which means I can't choose to stand for anyone else.
Well, choosing, and that's
You bet.
true. I have to say that but you don't understand.
Yeah.
I have to have a job, and I have to do this, and I get it.
Hey, me too. I got several of them.
Well, and I want to say this. And if you don't honor yourself, your employer certainly, for shit's sake, is not gonna. And it's been my experience so far everywhere we've gone. There's been folks that have tried to say, well, you need a mask. And I'm like, no, I don't. And, as a matter of fact, even today, Lisa and I were out, and the lady felt the need to say, I'm just trying to do my job. I wasn't cruel or rude or anything like that. I just said, no, I don't need a mask. Thank you. And,
I know, but the look on her face was utter and complete shock.
Yeah.
All the power to you. I'm doing my job too. I'm on a mission from Source, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Attired the way I'm supposed to be attired. Sans the mask.
And I kind of like that. Very, what was it?
Blues Brothers.
Thank you. Thank you. I almost said Men in Black because that's the way they were dressed, but
Yeah.
very Blues Brothers of you. Yeah. And besides, if you don't stand for you, I don't know.
Who will?
Well, when you do that, though, where you're not doing it because it's, the way I do it is I'm not trying to make a statement or an issue or a raw. It's simply the truth of who I am. And if I were to wear a mask, it would go against everything that I have given my word from my depths of my soul and my heart to do. And I'd frankly rather have you just come with a knife and go than to consciously go against all of that. I simply won't do it because I know the ramifications for myself and all if I make that choice. Right? So so magnify that, all who stop making that choice. And now all of the the magnification upon magnification upon magnification of all who do that, how fast things will shift and change and come to a fully unwinding and unbinding and a new birth will be astounding.
Yep. No, that's absolutely a true statement there as far as I'm concerned. Well, no one has really commented very much. So I'm not sure if everybody is really still there.
Maybe they're not live.
If it says we are live, so I'm imagining that we are. So I'm not sure, but
I feel pretty live.
Yeah, well, maybe if they saw masks and they passed out.
Oh, I kind of doubt that. I'm not. I don't think this is the mask wearing crowd.
It's not the mask crew, no.
Right? Well, I just have to say, for me and anyone else out there that is paying attention when they go out and they see these things I've watched from the very beginning. Anyone that's wearing a mask, first of all, folks curious looking down inside said, "Here still." Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks for hanging in
if you
Really?
what'd you say, Lisa?
I said, thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah.
It's fun when you're alive to have more people alive with you.
I know, right? Yeah, I know that. I really enjoy going live because of the interaction with the folks. So, Angie said she's deep in listening.
Okay. I was going to say, well, either we've just made their heads spin and they're like, huh? Or they're like, wow, I didn't think about that. Or I didn't think about that. Or, yeah, I am huge. I am gigantic. I'm going to play with that.
Well, I do suggest playing with all of that kind of stuff, because I'm telling you, I've had the most fun of my life.
Yeah.
Power, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
you need to repeat that, because you said
Yeah.
I've had the most fun of my life, and then you went Robo, and then
Oh, okay. That's very interesting.
it is very interesting. I like the timing.
Yeah. Because what I said was that, you know, in the last, and it really kind of started right before Lisa came, but in the last, you know, 3-4 years, again, since I've been hanging out with y'all and having these conscious conversations, I do credit a lot of these conversations with my own expansion and
Yeah,
paying
me too.
attention to myself, getting to know myself, honoring myself, again, because I've been able to see this as a good example with the two of you, has been the most fun I've ever had in my life. And what I now really know with all of me is that I'm discovering the truth of who I am and my power,
Mhm.
my creator. I said on the porch that Lisa is sitting on right now in July of 2016, and actually, I don't know if you were here, Shimale. Shimale was here during that time. I don't think she was on the porch when I said this, but I said, I think we're all creators in training. Little did I know, oh no, we've been creators all along.
Mhm.
We've had the power all along, my dear. And we've been creating every time, all the time, in every moment, our reality. It is, because we are creating it as we move, as we go, as we think, as we feel. All of you guys right now, there's 16 of you in that chat room, and the three of us
Oh,
here, that
wow.
19. We are having a shared reality by consent,
Mhm.
by agreement. And the moment any one of you, or either one of you, don't in this reality anymore, and you drop out of it, then you're back in your own reality bubble. And that's
Right.
how
And this energetic envelope, not only that, it's a cohesive structure, meaning that at this moment, whatever the timestamps were that it started, and it has a certain amount of linear time frame to it, but it goes beyond that. It is a living, cohesive structure reality. So as more come into it, they add to it. They add their abilities and their presence to it, and their energy frequency, and the co-creation of that, and it keeps expanding. Expansion is expansion. There's no finiteness to expansion, so that everything, all of these energetic envelopes and the realities, they are cohesive, so it keeps expanding, it keeps changing, and growing and expanding what it is, and the thought processes into it, the revelations into it, the playing into it, the, you know, how the complexities then can keep going. It keeps doing it, everything. So in this case, that's pretty cool. But think of an energetic bubble that you've created, an energetic envelope that you created in a conversation, in your head, whatever it is, where it's spinning, right? Or it's negative, or it's not only not putting yourself first, but you aren't even on the planet about putting yourself anywhere, right? And
Right.
the creative force, because you are amazing, that you've put into that. Well, that's a cohesive structure, not as strong as the one I just first talked about because of the frequency, but that's a cohesive structure as well. And that is a reality that others can come into and perhaps get stuck in, because they don't have enough of their own, you know, wherewithal, knowing to pull out of it. So
Yeah, it's a,
go ahead.
sorry. I was just going to say, it's a very specific creative force. It's going to attract the matching energetic.
Mhm.
So, you know, I mean, that's really, really big. That's why we were talking about that the other day, Sheila, about how important it is to know, we were talking specifically here at the house about taking a knee, and, what intention are you holding with that? Like, what thoughts are you saying to yourself? That's a frequency set point.
Yeah.
And it's also an attraction set point. So, you want to mine your set points at all moments of now,
Yeah,
because
be
of the reason you
conscious.
were talking about. Yeah, you'll
Conscious
pull
of what
in
we're doing. Yeah.
what you don't want to experience that way.
Yeah. Because being unconscious simply doesn't work anymore. It's there's no gap between any of it. So it's actually all consciousness. It's just being lazy or not. It's being standing in your own power or not. It's playing for the team of expansion or constriction and inversion or not. That's really what it is. It's, the two forces are love and fear. And which one are you wanting to use your considerable power and brilliance to enhance and expand?
Well, now I have to ask you something about that, BZ, because I don't know if it's just me or if I'm picking up someone that's either in the room now or will be listening later. Again, part of this has to do with languaging, I feel, but someone could equate to love, not fear.
Wait, you froze. Say that again. Someone could equate.
There are those who could maybe equate the Black Lives Matter to love and not fear, because, well, that, we love these people,
But I'm not talking. I'm right, and that's so.
now, I
I'm
realize,
talking from a frequency, not a verbiage.
I
You're freezing.
Yeah. Am I frozen too?
No, you and I are here.
Okay.
because must
They don't like what. They don't like where she's gonna take this conversation because they don't want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah, try that again, sweetheart.
Yeah, try it. Well, here's the thing. Try it one more time, or we can wrap this, and then it's another conversation that wants to be birthed. I think is what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they froze you again.
wow. Okay, I won't say that. Unfreeze me now.
Right.
Am I still frozen?
Yeah, you're cool.
No.
Oh. Okay, well, I won't say that.
Just mind your tongue, though, apparently.
I won't.
You can't even say what you want to say, so just moving right along.
Right, exactly.
We'll do it in another.
Well, I wanted to share what Shimile has said here too. Well, Susan Treve said, "I'm listening. Good sharing. I've seen people in a car with a mask. I do not get it. Yeah, me either. That's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm telling you, the Amazon drivers are doing it too. And that's
nothing like having hypoxia and then passing out behind the wheel.
I know.
Right.
That's really taking care of people of all skin color when you ram right into them with a car. That's very thoughtful.
Yeah, I don't get it. But Shimile said, I've been here listening to your conversations most of the time for several months and observing the evolution of all that is, often nodding my head in agreement with your discussion, as I am preparing my own pieces of the puzzle in the background, some of which will be presented to interested parties in the near future.
Cool.
Awesome.
Nice.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank
And
you
pass
so
them by
much.
the IUB too if there are ways we can, bring an essence of them digitally.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I know that she's a heck of a writer, so we'll see. Yeah. Am I frozen again?
No, no, no. That was the Shimley. I was like,
Oh, okay.
if she chooses, I'd love to post them.
No more of get Lisa.
Oh,
Either one of
boy.
you want to was this am I think I'm complete because
Yeah,
they're
I would just say, all the usual things in all the usual places because only two of us in the windows here are live, and
really I'm still frozen?
no, you're good now. But soon as you got to say something,
We couldn't make out at all what you said.
As soon as you got to say something, they put the whammy on you. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I do want to say though, for those of you who are new to Conscious Conversation Central, I hope you will subscribe. Also, there's going to be a link to BZ's channel in the Show More section here too, for you to go over and subscribe to BZ. If you're looking at this on BZ's channel later, then do the same. Come over here to Conscious Conversation and subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up button too. Apparently that will help the algorithms. That is when they're not, pushing it down. And don't forget to hit the little bell icon so you're notified when we go live. Like apparently all of you were notified this evening and you came on over and had a sit-in with us.
Yeah, and we've talked about actually got the downloads for 3 others that kind of go around because this is a huge subject. So if you want to come play with those, being jolted doesn't always happen at lightning speed. We are each unmasking love absolute, and ritual intention, the frequency from which it was created, matters.
Yeah. So stick around or make sure you've got the click so because you never know, we might go live at a drop of a hat. So thanks everybody. Thanks ladies. Mwah.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Much love.